Hello and welcome, viewers. It's episode 2, and if you can't tell by Julian's quite fetching t-shirt,
4 more episodes.
this is our theme time on politics, and we've got our first guest as well. So
suitably related, of course.
Exactly.
As always. It's not just like a willy-dilly guest we just got on who can just talk about politics. This is a genuine man of clout.
a man of clout, exactly.
37 level of clout in only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
37 clout. I'm not in on clout, guys, but I hear it's very good. I'm not sure what my clout score would be.
We both think that jury's out on it, but
Yeah. Well, okay.
I don't even understand it.
no. It's a number.
No one does.
And
No one
it's
does.
a powerful word.
It is, yeah, it does. Anyway,
Punchy.
without further ado, I'm gonna introduce our guest, Sam Emery. Sam, good to have you here.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be here.
Always. So, Sam has recently joined Twitter. It was very good. And
That's just great news. all round.
it's great news for everyone.
The man's got bullets in his fingers.
10 days in.
Yeah, he's 10 days in. He's got 140 characters of gold normally.
Which is excellent, really, because I haven't been using Twitter enough recently, but
No.
which is excellent. And
This man's views need to be expressed.
that's very true. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sam to tell us a little bit about himself.
Okay. Am I supposed to talk into the camera?
Oh yeah, I made this
Yeah,
mistake
yeah,
last
yeah.
week. I actually, if anyone watched the last episode, I talked not at the camera. I looked over here, but now I'm looking directly
into
in
the camera.
Look into the lens.
Pretend this is the key.
I can pretend it's your face, Jules.
Yeah,
You're pretending I'm talking to you.
you're on the steps of 10 Downing Street, and that's the camera.
Well,
Everyone, look now. Go, Sam.
okay. Well, I am a political lobbyist, which means that I basically annoy MPs a lot of the time, and we do that on behalf of a number of private sector clients. And I'm also conservative. I think a nice conservative.
Yeah, a modern conservative.
A modern conservative. I'm not wearing a double-breasted suit today.
No.
And maybe could put on a slightly deeper voice like Thatcher did, but I'm not going to do that today.
No. Don't scare the children. This is a family-friendly podcast.
I'm not going to talk about Thatcher. That's
Scare the kids.
But yeah, I'm a conservative, and I am a director of Conservative Future, which is the youth wing of the party.
Excellent.
Which is sometimes fun, sometimes not.
Roll
And
the punches.
well, we got to be in Downing Street yesterday. So
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
you almost got trod on by our country's very own Prime Minister, Mr. David Cameron.
Yeah, and he made some pretty unsavoury jokes, which I won't repeat.
This is about losing children.
It was actually about losing children.
His children.
Apparently a lot of other Conservative MPs have also lost their children. And he's found out since he lost his child, Nancy.
Well, I guess it's probably quite easy to lose a child.
Yeah,
I was left in the car once
Yeah.
by my granddad.
And you turned out all right.
I know.
It's because you got left in the co-op. I mean, if you got left in,
I was looking at the magazine.
What, Asda?
Well, if you got left in Asda, there is no chance for you. You'll be on that checkout before you know it.
And so Sam is, because we've bigged up his Twitter, so it's like at Sam_Emery, which is EMERY 87. So
Yeah.
that number again, at Sam_Emery 87. We encourage you to like him and give him a chat.
Give me a follow.
Yeah, and
Give me a
if you've got something to say to Sam, say it, because he's fire.
He is.
Bullets.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to be hitting with you some news, but in store for this politics-themed episode, we're going to be looking at mobile apps and how sort of governments are trying to get mobile apps on the agenda now, which I think is quite exciting.
Bong raps.
Don't call them Obama apps. I'm sure he would want you to call them Obama apps, but cover your t-shirt. But we'll also be looking at this sort of cyber war that they have, and
digital espionage.
Yeah, and they're building some really complex
Trojan
code.
worm may be in your country's network.
Just not an actual worm, a Trojan worm.
Yep.
So we'll be taking you through that, listeners.
And socially, which everyone's really excited about,
I've
got a political journey in store from the very small town when you're trying to get elected, right to when you become elected, and then you're forming government, and then running government, all through the power of social media.
running Your government from Facebook. Out on paperback, June 2013. Julian Bracey-Davis.
Probably in a Kindle, if I'm perfectly honest.
Exactly. There you go. But so we'll be going through that. So stay tuned, listeners and viewers. Right, welcome back, viewers. Yes, what's been going on in the news? Well,
do we have a news for the jingle? He might put effect.
We can work on that, I think.
We'll work on that. We'll see what we can come out by the end. We'll see what happens.
Just following on from last week's show, before we go
carry on. Yeah, this is quite good.
Don't forget that, as always, the Good Time Podcast predicts the future. Accurately predicts the future. What do we talk about?
We don't say that, Sam. That's not. That's 100%
what I stand for. Predicting the future. No, but we did talk about goal line technology.
We did.
And what happened a week after we talked about goal line technology? England got given a phantom goal.
Yep, and which kind of nets out the one that we actually showed you last week in the sort of picture.
Yep. So I think FIFA, because some might say it's because of what happened, but others might say it's because of our show. Are really pushing ahead with goal line technology.
So there you go.
That's good. The other one I just wanted to quickly mention from looking back at our predictions.
Yes.
Is that I may have talked a little bit about the Milan lab, which proudly prolongs footballers' careers. Footballers like Gattuso, Nesta, and Inzaghi and Seedorf.
Yep.
This week it came out in The Guardian, which I read, that all of those players, the ones whose careers have been prolonged, have been let go by Milan.
And just as an aside, I don't think that was because of the podcast. But I think that was because they were coming to the end of their careers. I mean, I don't know. The jury's still out
that. Every player that we referenced was cut from the Milan. But they're getting on.
They're getting on.
And if it wasn't for the Milan lab, which we talked about, then they would have gone. They would have gone probably 8 months ago.
True. Cool. What else? Twitter are dropping LinkedIn. What's this about? So,
are you looking at me?
Yeah, you're the social media man. Go on.
They've had a big relationship in the past. few years.
The cross posting.
Yes, cross posting.
Yes, cross posting.
You can manually click your tweet from LinkedIn, link up your post from LinkedIn to Twitter, but you can't now set it so that your tweets go to LinkedIn. Twitter, basically, for want of a better word, pulled out.
Yeah.
And
why?
Well, there's the unofficial sort of reason is they're not happy with the security of it. I'm
going to jump in actually. Twitter are actually dropping a lot of their API, so they're getting really. They did this a couple of years ago. If anyone's interested, where they basically said to third-party developers who are making sort of iPhone apps, giving them limited availability to their program, and now they're getting worse. That's why they've dropped LinkedIn. There's a great article on it. We'll try and put it in the show notes where people are getting a bit angry because they shouldn't be doing it, and they might lose some people. Well, it's a bit dodgy because it means that the third-party developers can't build apps.
I thought you meant
and people forget that not many people use the Twitter website to tweet. Yeah. They use their iPhone, they use their iPad. So I thought you were talking about a relationship with LinkedIn. Oh, no. But it's for a professional network. I don't necessarily want everyone tweeting their lives. It's a bit. So, other things in the news. The more lighter side of the news. Jimmy Carr dodged some tax, so not a good idea. That was did you hear about the tax scheme? I'm sure you did. It's a good idea, to be honest. I would do it. we would all like to pay 1% tax. I pay as little as tax as I can. Fact. It was a huge story over here. It was, and he unreservedly apologised, and so he should. So there we go. In other news, the banks have been at it again. Bob Diamond's gone. As of this morning. What a great name for a banker. Bob Diamond. Bob Diamond. You couldn't write his story better. He's this like massive casino. He wanted to build super casinos. Then he was head of investment banking. The Manchester super casino. There was a series of casinos they wanted to build. Yeah, didn't get through. He was trying to push them, and then he became head of Barclays Investment. Then he became head of Barclays. Got into a load of controversy because his pay packet's so big. Highest paid CEO, 20 million. If it was wide to him, he wouldn't have a big pay packet. And then of course we found out that Barclays have been rigging LIBOR rates. Not going to get into what they are, but they basically underlie a lot of financial transactions, and so he quits.
Do you know where he went round? Where he went wrong today? I was on Metro on the way back. There's a picture of him and John Terry. And
You are joking.
No, it gets better. There's a picture of him and Tiger Woods.
Never be pictured with John Terry, guys. It's gonna go downhill from there. Yeah. But yeah, basically they got in trouble. Biggest fine by the FSA and further investigations into other banks.
Yep.
So
technology and social storms all over the shop.
Yeah. Quickly, last thing before we head into the next section is that Google released a lot of stuff. So they had their I/O conference and they basically released Jelly Bean, which is the new mobile operating system.
Jelly Bean.
Well, they call
Whatever happened to Mountain Lion?
No, that's Apple. So Google go around like sweet things. So they had Froyo, then they had gingerbreads, then they had ice cream sandwich. Now they've got Jelly Bean. So that Jelly Bean looks awesome, guys. I'll put a post to it, but some really good features, including
what's a licorice salt? What product would that be?
I don't know. They will get to it at some point though. And yeah,
Skittles.
Yes, the Skittles, 7.4. But so that was the news in tech, I think, really. So
wow,
we'll go through to some technology and politics. Booyah! So, technology and politics and technology. It's been tricky.
Uneasy bedfellows.
They are uneasy bedfellows, actually.
I mean, technology and sport and social media, where they were getting it on like rabbits.
It's probably the one theme time. I'm always like, technology and a theme get on, but technology and politics, it's been a pretty bumpy road from WikiLeaks straight through to Stuxnet.
Exactly, Julian Assange, which assembly?
It's Ecuadorian, I think.
Is that right?
I think he's still there.
He is actually.
About 2 weeks, I think.
It's one of those stories that it happened, it was big, and then is he still there? No one's really mentioned it recently.
No.
He went out on the steps just to prove he was still there and went back inside again.
Okay.
So, it's been a very uneasy relationship. I'm sure you agree, Sam. And, but one we'll start with a sort of positive, and then we'll go into the negative. But one thing that, of course, this man here is very keen to do.
That's Obama, not JBD.
Is build mobile apps. He's a very keen user of tech. He recognises the power of tech in the US, which is basically their competitive advantage now.
Yeah.
And he's trying to exercise it, which I think is really good.
Yeah, it's great.
And as far as I'm aware, in this country, what they're trying to do is that whole Silicon Roundabout thing. So they're trying to get people like Google and Microsoft to invest in that and to sort of stimulate economic growth through that, which is quite key, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's really the way politicians look at it, is to stimulate economic growth as a kind of first and foremost. And I think in the UK we are kind of lagging behind ever so slightly with the US.
Everyone is, though.
Everyone is,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the government are kind of looking at that. They're looking at kind of high-speed broadband. They're looking at getting mobile phone coverage in rural areas and sort of thing. And that's quite boring and it's quite basic, but it's kind of...
It's a necessity, though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think I'm not sure what you think. I think it's tough. Obviously, in the economic climate, I think it's quite easy to say the government isn't prioritising tech, but to be honest, there's quite a lot of stuff they need to be prioritising. I think, it's when... For the US, it is really their main competitive advantage. If they don't invest in their Silicon Valley, they, the government would be doing. They're some of the most powerful people in the US are in Silicon Valley. So it's interesting for the UK. And
do you have any tech firms you lobby for?
We lobby for a company called Vocalink.
Okay.
They do all the payment processing behind cash points, so all the backs.
Oh wow!
Payment stuff. Which is an interesting-ish topic.
Payments always get there on time.
Unless you're NatWest.
Which wasn't our client's fault, I have to say.
Yeah.
But they're doing all the payment stuff.
Well, what's it like then when you with a client like that? Do you have to do a lot of background research when you're giving it to the politicians you're talking to, or do they generally have quite a good level of knowledge of various technologies that are sort of developing in this country, or are they coming from it cold?
I think it depends. I think for what we're trying to achieve, we're kind of quite targeted in who we approach, and people we are approaching generally have an idea I mean, we're with the Treasury and with the work and pension, so
Okay.
they kind of get it a lot, but politicians don't really understand much of anything, so it's always kind of you just assume they don't know anything.
Just assume that they're just like spoon feeders.
Yeah, exactly. Like tech for idiots sort of approach.
Tech for idiots. No, it's always good to take the Apple approach.
Exactly. And a lot of MPs are idiots as well, so not always right.
We got any apps developing in this country?
That's actually interesting because the .gov domain.
Yeah.
That they've improved that. One thing I'll say is that has come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
The whole .gov thing. I mean, that's why I'm not sure if you'll know viewers, but they've they've been really trying to push this whole YouGov and you can do everything online, and that as a resource is amazing.
Taxes have to be taxing, of course.
Yeah, I think that the US is saying is that they've got to that stage already. Now they're saying, let's get it on people's mobile apps, because that's the next stage. People want to be able to go get an app, government app, do all your stuff, council tax, things like that, which would be incredible. So if there's any developers out there who want to do that, that would be ace.
Yeah.
But
Sam, yesterday, this is how real time this show is. Yesterday, your physical being was in 10 Downing Street, was it not?
I was indeed.
And you almost got stepped on, as we mentioned earlier, by the Prime Minister David Cameron.
I did. It was
not in a sort of an aggressive, I'll tread on you.
No, I was
squishing it.
I was creeping right behind him into photographs. So,
excellent.
That's excellent.
He's like,
lots of my head just kind of.
Is there any of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a bit of that.
But the big question, which I'm sure every viewer is thinking about right now, Sam, you met David. DC.
Yeah, I did meet DC.
How would you feel if this man you met started using technology to root around in another country's digital information?
Great segue.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question, Jules, but in true political style, I'm going to present you with a slightly more interesting question.
Booyah!
Going back at you.
Bullets in his fingers.
And, this isn't something that we're just talking about foreign countries.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember his name, Benedict, however he's called, the police commissioner, is talking about routing through our emails in the UK.
Very good point.
Should he do that? Should he not?
Yeah, let's start on home soil.
Let's actually start on home soil before we actually get... It's a very good point. This bill is a big black box. And the thing that worries me about
What's this bill called?
First, I don't know what the bill's called.
It's just a bill.
It's just, and also the fact that
digital bill.
It's just so vague.
Homeland Security.
They're basically going, we might take stuff from your social network, we might take this and that. But what they're trying to say is, we won't... From what I understood was, we'll only track your browsing in certain areas. So they said, what they're trying to say is that places like Facebook... Facebook's a walled garden. So when you're on the internet and you're going through, that's fine. But once you're on Facebook, there's a block between...
Unless
they
of course
could get.
You set your status as public.
Of course, you go.
Check your accounts.
Check your links.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting point because I think that it's going that way, and I think they're going to get access.
So where do you stand on this in terms of like what level do you think that politicians is reasonable for I don't want to sound all American, but for even a security point of view, what level of information online do you think they should have access to?
I don't think it's an easy question. I think the government has to be sensible about it, and I think a lot of people aren't terrorists.
Yeah, a lot of people. 98% of people are terrorists. Probably if we're lucky.
Very few terrorists. I think, would you really like your email sifted through by some policeman with nothing better to do? Probably not. And do the police have time to do it again? Probably not. Yeah. So we have to be serious about it and kind of pick people who actually think.
I think I think obviously because it won't be everyone. It will be the select few. And that's the selection
the headline
process.
Is the information's there for everyone to look at, but maybe the reality is unless you meet the criteria, they're not going to be going for your browser history. And I certainly have nothing to hide.
As well,
and it also goes back to the point that when push comes to shove, guys, they can get this information. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Google are forced to give it up. They've done it before. Facebook got far less power than Google, so
the police
have
started getting involved with Twitter.
Saying,
if you get racist,
so
can't be racist anywhere anymore.
I always say this: if you shouldn't be doing something on the web, then don't be surprised if it comes back to bite you, because
Yeah.
That is the nature of how it is.
The big lesson here is any criminals or terrorists out there, if you remember at 7, John Doe got caught because he was using a library card. The library card is in this analogy is the browser history.
That is a tough analogy.
The library is online, so just don't do anything illegal and you won't be caught.
There you go. Lovely. So let's touch on
briefly
on Obama and Stuxnet, because I read this excellent article that's saying, has his involvement in Stuxnet sort of, it has discredited him, but just to what extent?
Can you explain that?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I'll go through. Stuxnet was that big.
I don't have a clue what you're on about right now.
Basically, Stuxnet was.
And I've done the research.
We did with the paper. Stuxnet was this virus that went to Iranian nuclear power plant, and the funny thing about this virus that made it very suspicious was how well targeted it was. It was targeted at one specific piece of hardware, a Siemens controller. There is no way that any group of genius hackers would have been able to target such a thing at such a specific, and to know that component was there in the first place. There's no way. So obviously it was written by state. People were like, who was it? Israel. Turned out to be US. And it was started off by George Bush, carried on by Obama.
I didn't even know they wrote code.
Well, it's actually quite serious. And there's another one.
Everything's serious.
Another one was Flame. It's another one that they've written, and it's sort of coming to the point where governments are writing this stuff, and they're actually admitting to it now. They're like, well, yeah, we wanted to get in there and do it. And it's quite interesting seeing people's reactions, because one of Obama's linchpins was, trying to this sort of free economy and sort of that sort of side of things, but just writing a sneaky virus into your enemy's territory is a bit underhand. I have to admit. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think that I'd rather they wrote sneaky programs than send troops.
Jets. And later on, it's almost like a pre-strike.
If they develop nuclear capacity, then we're going to have to do something about it at some point. So if you can kind of stop that or slow it down, then why not?
Why not? Yeah.
As with all these things, like you can generally make quite a good argument for the positives of these sort of invasive technologies, as Sam was saying with the home country stuff, how it's used internally.
Yeah.
It's just that with all this power, there's a real fine line on how you use it, who uses it, who has access to it, and
definitely.
that's where the sort of shivers go down people's spines, not just from a personal level, but from a nation's point of view. Is if you can't trust or you don't know what people are doing. That's where you start
That's where you start worrying.
If you can't trust anyone, should they be doing it at all?
Yeah.
And then the point is, maybe they should have the technology to do it, but
it's I think for me, to sort of summarize, it's just a slippery slope, because you go, oh yeah, we just went in to get this, and then the next time it's, oh, we just went in to get this, and oh, we just went in to get oil, or oh, we just went in to get this. It just gets a bit, the more you can start justifying what you're going in and what you're using that code to get, but. Probably for Stuxnet, it was probably justified, but
no, that's not. We won't conclude.
To be concluded.
We are 100% open.
So next we're gonna go to social media.
Social media journey was through politics itself.
It is not gonna be that, but it's gonna be almost as good. So stick around. Social media and politics.
Because it's so seamlessly put together, this show, you wouldn't have noticed that we actually paused then, and we're now in a different section.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. But we're just talking actually, guys, about sort of the wider implications of. We were talking about on a governmental level how the people who look after your state are trying to find this all information, and then the guys made a really good point of it's the people who used to have the information of. Your family and your government. Not anymore.
No.
Not anymore at all. Right. People will hold the information of Facebook and Google.
And
almost exclusively.
Yes.
As Cos said, Facebook and Google do know you better than your own family.
Your own
and
family.
Friends. And this is why this whole digital espionage has come up. It's because governments are panicking. They don't actually have the information anymore. They need it, but they don't have it.
It's true.
So they're finding ways of getting it.
It's true.
That's true.
But that's a wider point for a wider day.
Yeah.
A wider day?
What does that mean? What, a 28-hour day?
No, it's not.
Cuts up again.
A wider day, I'll get at this, okay? You ready? A wider day is the height of summer.
There you go, like a true poet.
Where the sun rarely sets.
Come on, social media, man.
Politics. I was taking people on a journey, wasn't I?
Yeah.
You are.
So Sam, I just want to go through the sort of processes. I would like it if you just help me understand from your experience of what you've seen how people go through. I mean, we've mentioned this guy before, and
and he's on your t-shirt.
And the reason why he's so important in this case is because he jumped on the social bandwagon before anyone really genuinely thought about how big
I heard he jumped on the social bandwagon in about 1894. I heard
Barack Obama
he was doing social media 100 years ago. That
Barack
guy.
Obama invented social media. But the point is, he was the first politician who really used it on such a large scale. I mean, it's well documented that essentially he was this little, in political terms, he was a little guy against two juggernauts in the Clintons, and he got this whole, this stereotypical ground swelling of support from lots of little pockets of people. And not only were they brought together by him, but they were brought together through social media, which they built on through Facebook campaigns and through Twitter. And he has set the model of how you can not just build support, but you can connect the support and use it to build that magic political word of momentum.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. We had an election a couple of years ago, didn't we? Did you? Is there anyone that you've seen who uses any of the social networks in this country, or does anyone caught your eye? Is it saying that politicians are getting their heads around more?
Yeah, they do, and I think they see it as a kind of a tool to cut out the press teams, to cut out their aides, and get straight to the electorate, which doesn't always go down well. There's some ministers that get in trouble, but they tend to be quite good. I think the thing is that it does cut out that link. It cuts out that link, kind of. They have that kind of barricade with the press teams, and it makes them a lot more. It seems they kind of tweet through your vision. Yeah. It makes them seem more normal, basically, and a lot of them aren't normal, but they can kind of communicate normality through Twitter.
It is.
Quite
I think
successfully.
that's a really good point. It's the humanising of social media and politics that has been really interesting.
And we said it from the sport perspective last year. Last week, sorry, that you've got sports stars who are completely separated from you. Who's calling me? This is awful precedence.
We're getting.
We'll just
Jules is getting a call.
We'll just talk through this, okay?
He never gets calls. We didn't expect this to happen, guys. We can only.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
There you go.
If it rings again, guys, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to end the show.
I'll eat an orange. What was I saying? Yeah, the idea in sport was that the barriers are being broken down with people who were becoming increasingly separated from you, and this is what the second section of the journey of politics. So we started off with the campaigns. The second one is more, I've termed it virtue politics. The fact that you can better than a press release. I know that a press release is really prepared, but it is just a set
no one
of
reads them.
Yeah. Now suddenly you've got this man knows. Now you've got people talking all the time on social networks, and I know a lot of it's prepared, but as we made the point before, it's harder to fake who you are when you're constantly having to produce content. And so maybe as Sam would probably agree with, maybe by hook or by crook, some of the truth actually comes out more than even politicians would want.
Yeah, and it's far more useful than watching the news. It's real time, as we have the king of real time opposite me.
That's
JVD.
And never going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, as lobbyists, it's really useful watching Twitter rather than the news, because things come out on Twitter so quickly. So the news channels are always 10 minutes behind Twitter. So it's really useful for us. And I think politicians find it useful. Have you
used it at all, any social network, for the work you do? Is it as an effective way to drum up support, or is it something that...
Yeah, I think it is. We work on an anti-HS2 campaign at the moment.
Is that the super train?
The super train in the Tiltons, and it's really important that we have people on the ground speaking out against it. And it's a really good way to communicate, not only with people who are interested in politics or people that read press releases or the news, people that just go on Twitter and they just see this thing. You can target things so they can see, I live in the Tiltons is a thing.
As like a targeted sort of audience. That's true.
Communicate with people on the ground in a far more kind of effective way. Than anything else, really, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting, actually. I mean, I do wonder, the more that social media comes to sit at this forefront, what will happen to things like press releases? Will they become fewer and far between? Will they?
Well, no, because we've had this conversation before. I think about on this relationship with what the journalists and what the people who use press releases do. Their job now is more as the level of curator. Their job is, rather than waiting for it to be fed out of a trough, they've got to go start searching in the trough, get your hands dirty. So there's all this information out there. I mean, I follow Sam because I trust his opinion and he comes up with some good stuff. So I know if he says something that someone said to him, that there might be, not a news story there, but certainly an opinion that I can start reporting on.
True.
And I think this isn't going to change, and I think these people who but are used to press releases need to learn to filter information in a new way, and the information's there. They've got to find it. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's
sensible?
true. I think every single journalist that I know, politics, uses Twitter on a daily basis, uses it a lot. So do the politicians. Most MPs use it.
Yeah,
councils are starting to use it.
It is just spread. I mean, I remember sort of 2 years ago, some politicians had it.
Yeah.
Now it's almost mandatory. If you don't have a Twitter account as a politician or someone as a journalist, it's almost suicide. It's absolute madness because it's almost like A, you need to be able to promote yourself, but B, you need to be able to defend yourself in real time, and it's quite a very useful tool to be able to defend yourself.
I mean,
very interesting.
I always like to end on a positive. Because I'm such a cheery guy.
Does it involve
on
him?
camera? No. I mean, if I have to be, I don't like bringing the politics into it, of course. But he's let me down a little bit. This is.
I think he's done okay.
He has done okay, but I got swept up in the whirlwind of hope, and it's
Kill Bin Laden. What more do you want? Kill Bin Laden.
It's true. He has done quite a lot, but 4 more years wouldn't harm. But the real positive stuff I like the whole idea of social having this power to bring people together for like really good reasons, and this brings me on to the point of governments using social channels to talk to their people in a good way, rather than like in a secret way of they're trying to find out their utmost secrets about why they're buying a lot of fertilizer. It's all about promoting good messages, and we started this on a politics of ground level, so it affects America more than here, and you're seeing more in America, but they have something called Twitter Town Hall Tea Parties. I've added the Tea Party bit because that's a more
Twitter
Republican thing, but I mean generally it is like a Twitter town hall party, because town hall being everyone meets together and that's where they discuss their local politics. Now they can do it online, and so for the last 20 years you've been seeing it at times a steady decrease of people actually getting down to their house, especially in this country, and discussing the issues. And now people don't have to go anywhere. In fact, because everyone's used to having dual screens, they can watch the TV and watch, know that their politicians, probably not even in their town, but he knows that it's been set up to talk about issues that are affecting them, and then more people can get involved that way. And it's nice how politics is all meant to be about people talking about issues and then coming up with a consensual agreement on how to solve them. And the disillusionment of politics has been that people have stopped talking about it. And now suddenly people are talking about it again, and that can only be a good thing.
Unless it's Mary Sweeney and she reports me to the party chairman.
But
that aside, I think.
Well, no, actually, you make a good point about that. I mean, we won't dive too much into your Twitter affairs.
Battle.
But the point of that is that one of the downsides of social media is the fact that if you talk in person, I know when you're being sarcastic, I know when you're making a joke because you raise your voice or you laugh after it. That's all gone on social, and so a comment can look cutting and cold, and before you know it, he's dug himself a hole, and
he's hole.
He is insane though.
You're trying to get wider days. It's all gone wrong. I think Jules makes a very good point. Those Twitter town halls are a big deal, and to go back to that man, I was reading an article on him, and he goes on. He answers questions directly, so people.
It's probably him.
It is him because of his BO. That's how he does it. That's it's him.
Barack Obama's BO.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, I'm sure what he doesn't do himself is curate the questions, which I'm sure there's a whole team who
asking him nice questions.
Go through the list of questions and go, here's this one to answer. But he does get back, and I think again that's very good. And politicians alike will be trying to use it to their advantage. And I'm sure for the next election that it will be a big.
Well, it's just part of it now. Even election, and it'll be there. There's not sort of tricks to be uncovered. It's just about who can use it best rather than who can use it at all.
Yeah, true.
And just to finish up, because you've got your sort of your recommendation. My recommendation would be, tying in with our social media and our politics theme, would be just to look at the NHS Blood Facebook page.
Yep.
It's the blood donation page. It's brilliant. It's very basic. It just got some nice pictures up there of who supports the campaign, because there's 4 types of blood. You guys have got 2 of them. Give it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to do.
Very true.
And I just like the way they use it. It's very friendly. It's encouraging. It's informative, and they've got the history of the sort of the way blood's been given. They've used the timeline well. So that's just my sort of recommendation.
And you love when people.
I love when a timeline is used.
There's nothing. He does not love anything more than good use of the Facebook timeline. That makes him happy. that I know.
The final one would be as a case study from how creative you can use social media as a way to get a public message out, is to look up a campaign by New York City. It's not council, it's the state of New York, whatever the city calls it. But they had a problem where people weren't taking condoms being offered to them. People just weren't collecting them, and they had a few sexual problems, as a lot of cities do. Yeah. So they created a character on Twitter who was
Omar Al.
I wish it was Omar Al.
It wasn't. No, I've never seen Omar for a while. So
Omar Al would talk about this sort of stuff, but it was a character to sort of they use social monitoring tools to pick up on when people were talking about they're going out maybe to ball tonight, and then a character called, like, I'm going to call him I don't know, Crystal Condom. Something like that.
I could do better than that, George.
Yeah. Crystal Condom. It makes it sound like a whore.
Cucumber condom.
Cupid Condom.
There you go.
A bit of
Cupid.
love. The point, anyway.
Whatever you want to call it.
He tweeted the people in real time and said, if you don't forget to bring me, basically, and if you don't have me, pop down the road and there's a place where you can get it. And I know we make light of it, but it was a really effective condom, really effective campaign.
It touched you, clearly.
It touched me deep, cause, and because of it, I'm still clean.
Exactly, good.
I'm out.
Just very quickly, my plug for the week is, I've been telling a few people about this actually. It's a service called Money Dashboard, which is the UK equivalent to what the US have, Mint, which is excellent, pulls in from your bank accounts, really good tool for budgeting, works with all the major banks. So Money Dashboard, free to sign up, pulls in all your transactions. You can set budget for yourself and refresh it in real time.
So politicians could use this for the budget.
They could.
Exactly.
George Osborne could do that, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. It's one of those tools that I couldn't believe that I hadn't heard of it before. So I'll put that in the show notes, guys.
So finally, Sam, anything from you? Anything you want to add? Any sort of randomness coming into your head to wrap up?
Well, a lot of randomness, Jules, when you're around, but no, it's been great speaking to you guys.
Yes, it's been lovely to have you, Sam.
About politics, social media, and technology.
Yeah, as always, we find out as we talk, there's so much more to talk about. So.
There always is.
As an A-lister, we'll get you back.
Of course,
Thanks.
we will definitely. Season 4, 3D.
Yeah.
Put on your glasses now. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we hope you enjoyed it. We certainly have. Mm-hmm. And
tweet us, message us at questions, and carry on the debate online.
Exactly.
Live the debate.
Live the debate. And we'll,
Made that up just then.
you know where to contact us, guys. So we'd love to hear your feedback. Apart from that, have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time. We're out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say bye, Sam.
I said bye.
I was going to say bye.